So, um, basically, I wanted to make this video for a while. It's kind of hard just because I don't know why it's hard, but it's just a long, crazy, crazy story. But I know that, God came into my life and He did things in my life for a reason, not for me to not tell anyone, because that wouldn't bring Him any glory, that's for sure, right? So, I mean, in the end of the day, you know, like I said, I've wanted to make this video for a while. So my testimony, and how I got to know Jesus Christ, and how God revealed Himself to me. It happened when I was like 17. It's crazy the way that it happened because I've watched actually a lot of videos of people's testimonies of how they found Christ and how God kind of revealed Himself to them. And I noticed a lot of similarities in how God responds to people that are broken, and hurt. Because basically, it happened when I was 17. Most from 14 all the way to 17, I was going to youth jail. I had I stole cars. I did breaking B&E, excuse me, B&Es. Pretty much everything. Home invasions, breaking and entering with intent. I have a lot of bad charges as a youth. And I just ran the streets, all from 14 all the way up. Like I said, I was learning how to, I was selling coke and crack. The OGs taught me how to cook coke with baking soda, and, how to weigh it, how much its value is, how to sell it, how to not get robbed, how to treat customers, clients, custies, drug addicts. No mercy, no love, no compassion towards them. And I grew up like that. And my dad, we did a score together when I was 16. We robbed a business, and he ended up getting 3 years in the penitentiary for that. Sorry about the background noise. That's the furnace. It's gonna get kind of loud, but it's just what I'm dealing with right now. So anyway, so he did 3 years. Was I 15, 16, 17, 18? He got out. Yeah, so it was like I just turned 16. I think I just turned 6. He got out when I was like almost 9. Like I was 18 when he got out. But I remember being, my dad gone now. I'm running the streets. I had a warrant for my arrest. I was 17 years old, and I was in the alleyway in Hamilton, Ontario, beside my house on 244 Robert Street. It's right by General Hospital in Hamilton, Ontario. But so anyways, I just broke down and I screamed at the sky, and I was so mad and hurt at the same time. And I said, you know what, God, if you are there, I cursed Him out. I basically said, you're a piece of shit for letting all this happen to me. And you don't love. You're not a loving God. That's what I said. Because if you loved me, you would show me your love. You know what I mean? And I could feel the pain of God. That hurt God so much because He truly did love me. I know it sounds corny and cliche, but I could feel the hurt, as if you told your mom or your dad, fuck you, you don't care about me, I'm out. some parents don't care, but God will always love us, and that's the thing. So anyways, this is how it happened anyways. For the people that don't believe in God or might be experiencing things where they're kind of like, I don't know what's going on, I'll tell you what that is. Anyways, when I was 17, I cursed them out. I had a warrant for my arrest. I ended up in jail, like right after that. I don't know, the next couple of days I got caught, went to jail, youth jail. And sure enough, you know, what I said to God, I broke down. I said, I hate you, I cursed him out. You're not a loving God. If you were, da-da-da. I said, I do need a God. I do need a father. I need a dad. I don't have a dad. I've been running the streets. Where were you, Thanks a lot, You're a cruel person. You're a cruel God, whatever you are. So anyways, that's the way I felt. That's what I said. I was in tears. I broke down. I was on my knees in that alleyway, screaming, just in agony and pain of my life, from the life of sin that I grew up in unwillingly. I became a product of. But anyways, so 17, I go to jail. Like a couple days after that, I got caught. There's a Bible in my cell. I'm like, that's weird. Like, I honestly never really noticed the Bible or even seen, like, it's never there. I've never been really in a situation where there's a Bible there ever really in my life. Nobody talked about God. My mom, nobody around me talked about God. God was just whatever for people that live in a dream world or whatever. So I end up getting moved to cells or something. I don't remember what happened. I think I went to court, came back, ended up in a different cell or something like that. And there's a Bible in my cell. And I went to go see if there was, I'm like, obviously they put Bibles in all the cells. That's what I thought, right? No. The Bible that was originally in the first cell wasn't there anymore, and it was in my new cell. So I figured, okay, whatever. One of the staff thought that was my Bible and put it in my new cell or whatever. But this seemed to be a pattern that kept happening, and it was weird because it was like really not normal the way it was happening. You know what I mean? Of course you're going to see Bibles in jail. Of course you're going to see a Bible here and there, whatever, right? But the way it was happening was very direct, and it really stood out to me for whatever reason after I called God out like that. So I said, okay, I got mad, picked the book up, and I said, I'm going to challenge this intellectually. I'm going to decode it, and I'm going to expose it for what it is, and I'm going to just say it how it is, because I'm a real fucking dude. Like, I'm not trying to play this little game that all these people are playing. So anyways, excuse my language if that bothers you or offends you, but I'm just a real person, and I want people that grew up in the street, people that went to jail, people that sold drugs, people that have been through what I've been through in life to relate to me. So this is how we talk. We come from the street. It's hard to change, but that's one thing God will change, as He's changed many things in my heart and in my life. So I'm not worried about that. There's a time and a place for everything, and it will be, and it will be done in Jesus' name. So now that we got that out of the way, yeah, there's always a Bible in my cell. So I challenged it. I started to read it in an arrogant manner almost, but it was talking right directly to me, and it was so on point about my life, what I was going through right at that time. It was so specific. Like, it said shit to me that was like, okay, this just went from fucking, me challenging this to it challenging me. Like, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, alright, I was impressed. Okay, I'll say that for the whatever. I was impressed. So it was so real, and it was so on point, and it kept listing every feeling that I was feeling at that time, all the thoughts, the reasons why I was having those thoughts. It just decoded me. It deciphered and decoded me and took me apart in front of myself, turned me around and made me look at myself. And I was like, what are people talking about? Like, why are people saying this book is this and that? And people are like saying it's so corny. This is the realest shit I ever read in my fucking life. the fuck? Coming from a criminal that's in jail, you know what I mean? That doesn't happen. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, bruh, if this was fake or weird or whatever, I would have called it out. Period. You know what I mean? All these people that try to pick apart the Bible and say it's a contradiction and say, you know, in the Old Testament it said something about allowing people to be killed and God's, and bro, you don't even, your little tiny little brain can't even figure that out. Your whole perception is backwards. That's why you're looking at it like that. You don't even understand the context of which it's being delivered because you don't understand context in the first place. Therefore, you're not even in a position to make a judgment against the book in the first place because you don't have the intellectual capacity to do so. Okay? Anyways, human beings think that they know everything. Man thinks that they have the wisdom and they have the authority to look over things and tell and say what it is and what it isn't. You know what I mean? But men are foolish devices. You know what I mean? We think we're so high and mighty and intelligent, and you know, we accomplish so much in our material world and in our buildings and our structures, and meanwhile, you know, we're just imbeciles. But anyway, so what happened was it exposed me to myself, and it exposed truth to me in the world, and all of a sudden something hit me like a ton of bricks, and I felt this power just come in, and it gives me chills right now. I can feel chills all over my body, and I never forget that energy that came in. I even looked up, like, what the fuck is this? Like, it was coming down on me, like, just pure, I don't know how, like, what did it feel like? It felt like something huge, something way bigger than me that had an intellectual ability to think and know me, and it was just weird, and it was so powerful that I couldn't deny it. And you know, I don't do drugs, never did. You know, well, I did, you know, coke, ecstasy, shit that teenagers do when I was young, but that's another story. I flatlined and died in a hospital and was brought back to life, but that's another experience that I had with God. 3 strikes and you're out. So I'll make another video about that if you guys want. Leave a comment, remind me. Yeah. So anyways, I felt this this power just coming, this energy, and I'm like, yo, I've never felt anything like this. I don't feel stuff like that. And it just came in and just overwhelmed me, and I broke down, like tears pouring out of my face and just overwhelming emotion. And I'm like, this is when I was cold-hearted, you know. I didn't, you know, I would kick a baby stroll over and fucking kick. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? That's how, and that's as cold, that's as disgusting and dark as evil can get, you know, to not care for human life, you know, anything. I don't give a fuck. And that's the way I was, truly. You know, I robbed people that had kids, that had jobs, you know, I robbed houses. I even robbed a house that was owned by a police officer. You know, seen on the picture on the fridge of him and his family out of uniform, and then him and his family in uniform right beside it. And then I realized I was in a cop's house, and I robbed the whole place, stole everything, stole the vehicles. There was 2 vehicles parked, stole one of them, filled it up, took off to my buddies, picked him up, went back, stole the other vehicle. I really did that shit, you know what I mean? So I'm telling you, you know, I come from that life, and I have a unique perspective on this, not just some, you know, church kid that grew up in a church family or something. But so I just overwhelmed by something I never felt before, and I was like, at that point, you know, it became a new reality struck me, and I was like, this is real, you know, something is real, something about this is real, and I'm gonna figure it out. So I kept reading. I looked outside after that, and everything looked different. Everything looked different. How do you explain that? Like, everything looked different. I had a new understanding of life just from reading. Like, I was like, I don't know, like 2/4 into it. Like, you gotta get past all the boring stuff, because there's a bunch of boring listing names and cousins of cousins and brothers and bloodlines, like that really pushes people away from it, because if you don't really want to know, you're not gonna go through all that shit. You're not gonna read all that to get to the good stuff, because and it was magic. It was like once I got past all that boring stuff, it was like self-discipline. I had the self-discipline in me, even though I was not getting anything out of this. Nothing was making sense. And then I'm just like, this is boring, this is boring, this is boring. But I felt like there was something in there I needed to know, so I'm not gonna just give up yet. You know what I mean? So I kept going and going, and then then I hit the real stuff, and it was speaking directly to me about my life, who I am, everything I think, why I think that way, and it was right. And nothing has ever decoded me, because I developed myself in a very complex way. You know, at least I thought. Not too complex for God, but either way, something changed in my heart, and I could feel for the first time. I could feel everything. I could feel everybody's pain. Yeah, I could feel everyone's truth. I could see the world was blind. I looked out the window and I was just like, I see all these cars, and it was at nighttime, and everyone's driving, going from work and coming from work, and they don't even know why they're there. That was the first time I had that thought, and I'm like, wow. Everyone is just blindly going back and forth in their life, not even knowing their creator, not even knowing their purpose, and it's just like living in a complete, empty, void life, and they think this is fulfill. Like, what are you, like, I don't know, I had a new understanding, a new perception, a new, comprehension level, so to speak, like, and it was just like, I'm sitting in a jail cell. It was youth jail. It was like, I think it was open custody. Like, I could run and escape if I wanted to. They don't give you your shoes, so you're gonna be running with no shoes. You're gonna get caught. I mean, lots of kids tried. They get caught a couple blocks down, but and then you go to closed custody, and then it gets worse. So yeah, I just did my time. But yeah, so I'm looking outside, and I could see this whole world of people that don't know God, and don't know that, like, that it's real, like, and they don't have that love in their life, and that sucks, because I felt that for a moment, and I was like, that is magnificent power, and I just made my heart feel everything, and I understood life completely on an outside perspective once I looked outside and I seen all the cars and everyone living their lives aimlessly without even acknowledging God. And I'm like, whoa, that sucks. And I never even believed in this shit, and I was like, this is undeniably real. So ever since then, God was non-stop in my life, giving me signs, putting things in front of me that I'd never seen before, sayings like, God loves you, God's watching you, on the ground in chalk, God loves, just weird stuff all the time, standing right out at me, and it's like, why have I lived my entire life and not noticed any of this shit? It was never there. There was never anything on the sidewalk that said anything about Jesus or God or anything. No one ever wrote nothing like that. Nobody put that on a wall. Why everything now? And it was intentional. And that's how I became to understand that this is real. God is real. It is a living entity, thing that knows you and cares about you. Because how I figured out God loves me is because I told him he doesn't love me, and that broke him. That hurt God's heart, because I felt that pain, and then he made sure there was no way that I couldn't have felt his love, the love of God. He made sure there was no way I could deny it, because then he could say, you know what, I showed you my love, now you know. It's up to you to deny my love or not, you know what I mean? I am there, I do care about you, you know what I mean? And that hurt me that you felt that way. God felt my pain, my emptiness, my want for a father, for a God, for love, from anything, lost and broken. And those are God's people, and so it just wouldn't stop. Event after event after event after event, and it just kept coming, and I was like, all right, So I started getting cocky. I'm like, all right, do this, do that, and I'll surrender. You know what I mean? First of all, it says in the Bible that, it's not going to work like that. You're not going to challenge, your creator and say, do this, and he's going to do it. It's not going to work. You know what I mean? That's like being a 4-year-old and looking at your father and being like, prove yourself to me. And then I'll obey you. What? Yo, hey, go check yourself, kid. Like, you know what I mean? It's not going to happen. You're not going to do that, right? So you got to use the same common sense with this, you know what I mean? You're not going to say that to your father when you're a child. Who are you to challenge your creator and say, prove yourself to me, right? Like, get that ass whooped, boy. You know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding, but you know what I'm saying, right? Use that. Think about that. So anyways, but it worked for me because you know why? Because I was hurt and I said, you don't love me. And he had to make sure that I knew that he loved me. And this is a blessing. Most people live their entire lives and never get to experience God or the presence of God, or he may never reveal himself ever to you if you don't seek him out wholeheartedly first. And I think that's what made it happen. I was broke, I was crying, I'm screaming and mad, I'm hurt, and he felt that, and it hurt him. So he made sure, as a father, he made sure that it was his duty and his responsibility to know that he loved me. And now that's how I figured out this is real. And then I said, prove, do this, do this, do this, do that. The first thing happened. I was blown away. I'm like, okay, this is just a law of attraction. I'm psyching myself up. I'm hyping myself up. That was a coincidence. Pretty cool. Okay, on to the next one. Do this, and there's no way I could deny you. You know what I mean? Bam, and it happened. And I was numb. I didn't know what to feel. I didn't know what to think. And I was in disbelief. And I was like, okay. And then I think I thought something in my head of a scenario that I know would be undeniable to me, but I didn't say do this. Like, I just kind of went through my thought process and went out the other ear or something, I don't know. But that thought ended up happening, and right after, and I was like, okay, I surrender. I was like, okay, you're real. You know me. You love me. What do I do now? You know what I mean? That's what it came down to. I was like, what am I going to do now? What do you want me to do? Because this is scary. Like, that's what it felt like. It was terrifying. Some outside force that was, like, so powerful and great. And I could feel how huge it was compared to me. It was huge. Like, it was just, And I'm like, I never felt like that, or energy like that, or a presence come into the room, and I can feel it like it's, like, magnetic. Like, you know what I mean? To somebody that didn't believe, this is, I'm telling you, like, this is what happened to me to show me that this is real, It's not even a debate anymore. There's nothing, I've heard every lie in the book. Nobody could ever tell me nothing. It's been proven to me in a way that nobody can ever take that away from me. Period. God is more real to me now than anything else in this world. Everyone else is fake. Everything else is fake. It's all a lie. It's all liars, all fake losers to me. Like, take the loser part out, but yeah, like, you know what I mean? It's just pure deception. I can see through everything now, and I see through people. I know when they're lying. I can hear their thoughts. Like, it's crazy. You might think, saying that, you might think I'm crazy, but God gave me abilities because I requested them, and I had from the heart. But anyways, that's another story too. So that was it. I surrendered, and I started to seek more out. You know what I'm saying? And it's weird because I experienced God before I even picked the Bible up. God proved himself to me before I even picked that book up. And I experienced God and his presence and his little things that he does and little signs, and like, couldn't be a coincidence anymore. And it's crazy. So people can't say, oh, you were brainwashed by the Bible. You were brainwashed because you had a family that talked about God. I never heard nothing to do with God, ever. You know what I'm saying? Even when I was a child, I remember one point in time where I looked up at the stars and the moon when I was laying in my bed. I think it was like 12 years old. And I never heard the word God before, that I can recall. I know my parents, nobody around me didn't talk about God. They hated that idea, I'm sure. But anyways, I remember sitting there, laying there, looking up at the stars and thinking, I made 3 wishes to a God. Now that I'm an adult, I look back at that and think, hey, 12-year-old me, how did you know that there was a God? How did you know to pray? How did you know to make 3 wishes? What? Who are you wishing to? Who are you talking to? Who are you thinking of when you make these wishes? And where does this thought process root from? And how is it existing when you have had no outside influence of anything to do with God or a church? Never been to a church, never heard God ever in my life. I might have heard it on TV and thought, man, that's like a fairy tale cartoon type shit, right? Like, but I was just a child. I didn't really have judgmental thoughts in that manner anyways. So it was really weird. But I grew to understand something when I became an adult, that I had the ability to recognize that there was a creator, there was a God out there, and I made 3 wishes, and all 3 of them came true, and all 3 of them became something that I didn't want. So God showed me, not everything you wish for and that you desire is good for you, and not everything you wish for is my will for you. So that was my first lesson, but I didn't know that that was an experience until now. After I went through all that stuff I just told you guys, when I really realized this is real, then I could connect the dots from the past. But yeah, so ever since then, and then, I fell back into my ways and stuff. 18 years old, I ended up going to jail. My dad just got out of jail, and then I go into adult jail. It's maximum security jail, Barton Jail in Hamilton. It's not the penitentiary, it's provincial, but a bunch of killers in there waiting to be sentenced and get shipped out to the pen. You're with murderers, rapists, killers, every type of criminal that exists is there. So I'm an adult now, this is real. So my dad I ended up being in there for a month, and then 30 days in, my dad died out of nowhere. And I was supposed to get out in compassion of my father's death, time served, first offense as an adult, 18 years old. The judge looked at me and gave me another month on top of that. And I missed the funeral because the funeral was the day of court. And the day of court, I should have got out on time served in compassion of my father's death, but that judge is a piece of shit. I don't know what happened to him. He's probably not alive anymore. Anyways, so yeah, my dad died. I missed the funeral. My girlfriend was sleeping with my best friend, and it turns out they were doing 3-way calls for people on my range, which is very unlikely to happen. And it happened, and somebody said, yo, your girl's on the phone. I get on the phone, she's like, yeah, I'm sleeping with James, F you, blah, blah, blah. So they just all switched on me now that I'm in jail and my dad died. The demons came out, right? Now that I'm trying to get close to God, everyone switched on me, right? So yeah, so anyways, so yeah, he betrayed me and she betrayed me. Then I get out of jail, I have nothing and I have nobody. I'm homeless and I'm 18 years old, I'm an adult, and my dad's dead. And my mother, she's still alive, but she's living in a house where I can't go because of her boyfriend, and he owns the house. So he made sure since I was a kid I couldn't live there, and I had to run the streets because he just wanted my mom and nothing to do with me, right? So anyways, I get out of jail, and I knew what to do as soon as I got out of jail because I read it in the Bible and the stories about, I forget who it was that left. He's like, leave your family, leave your wife, leave your kids behind, go here. And he's like, what? I can't do that, but I'll do it. I'll have faith in you, God. He does it. He ends up getting everything back times 1,000. That's what happened to me. I even had $500 saved, and it disappeared out of nowhere, and then I couldn't get on the bus, but I got the money. I ended up getting on the bus, had a bag of clothes, moved to a city, started from the shelter, went to the unemployment center every single day until I got a job. I got a job, I got a place, I had new people in my life. God started to bless me. I started to repent from sexual temptation, chasing females, lust, alcohol, cigarettes. I repented from all of them. I hated them, and God blessed me for it for the first time. And then I fell back to my sin, and his presence went away for such a long time that I felt that he left me because of my sin. He gave me all the opportunity, and I chose my sin again. But it's been a fight, it's been a battle, and God's still in my mind and my heart. But this video is going to end in 50 seconds, and I don't have any control over that. So if you guys want me to make a part 2, I will. Leave a comment, but that's my testimonial. Corey Resilient.